Hello, dear learners. Welcome to another session. So, today we are going to see the work Atticus by Alexander Pope. So, Alexander Pope was an English poet, translator, and a satirist of the Enlightenment age. And he was prominently known for his satirical pieces, especially his work, The Rape of the Lock, The Dunciad. They were very, prominent pieces that did satirize the people of his age. And another work that requires much attention is Atticus. And today we are going to see an excerpt from Atticus. So, a little bit about the work. So, this work is part of the epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot. So, Dr. Arbuthnot was presumably the friend of Alexander Pope, and he insisted Pope to write a piece in response to all his critiques. So Pope went on to write this work, Epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot, in the summer of 1734, and it was published in 1735. Incidentally, it was less than 2 months before Arbuthnot's death in 1735 that this work was published. Actually, to know a little more about the background, Pope was a victim of a lot of bitter attacks, especially by Lady Mary and Lord Hervey. So Arbuthnot insisted that he needed to respond to these two attackers, and so he came out with this mock heroic poem, the Epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot. And it is written in the same form like how Horace is written in the work given by Horace Virgil and Ovid, and it's a reaction to Joseph Addison and Hervey, two other prominent figures who were part of Pope's age. And according to Pope, this work is a piece that was in making for many, many years. So let's go into the poem Atticus. So Atticus over here refers to Addison. And Joseph Addison and his traits and qualities have been, thoroughly explored by Pope in this poem. And he uses the medium of mock epic poem. And mock epic poem itself states where heroic qualities are given to a hero, and the underlining effect is that it is a criticism, a mockery of the personality. So he's elevated, and then his qualities are mocked. So in the same way, we see Pope has also followed the same pattern, and he begins this part by saying, "Peace to all such." So he begins with greeting. He says, "Peace to everyone." But whether one whose fire true genius kindles and fair fame inspires. So he gives a grand introduction to this personality who has got a blessed talent. He calls him a genius. He calls him one who is, blessed with a lot of inner good qualities, rather talent, I would say. So, and he also says that he was somebody who is born to write, converse, and live with ease. So these are the three things that he states about Addison in line 4. That is, Addison is born to write, converse, and live with ease. This man is somebody who is very talented, but however, he is compared to a Turkish king. So like the Turk, no brother near the throne. So here we see that he begins his attack on Addison, and he states the quality of Addison, that he does not desire anyone to compete against him. He wants to be the sole ruler. He wants to be the person, the most prominent person of his times. And there are no lines, the last three lines over here. Like the Turk, no brother near the throne, view him with scornful yet with jealous eyes, and hate for arts that cause himself to rise. So we see that he has a lot of contempt. He is jealous. He's got inner jealousy, which he conceals from the people he interacts with. So he's very fake. The fake persona of Addison is referred to by Pope over here. And we also see that although he is talented, but unfortunately he does harbor these ill qualities. He's a very skilled person, but still he has these ill qualities, and that unfortunately is under attack by Pope. So moving on, we see that he further criticizes him. He refers to him as somebody who has weak praise, whose approval is very polite, but it's very insincere. So damn with faint praise, assent with civil leer. And without sneering, teach the rest to sneer. So he is somebody who does not like to stand in the forefront and attack people, but rather he stands behind people, he pushes others to do his task. So he uses others as his shotgun to, just complete his task of criticizing others. He's willing to wound and yet afraid to strike. So this is one prominent, another quality of Addison, which Pope points out too, that he's willing to hurt others, but he's always afraid to do the strike and just hint a fault and hesitate dislike. Over here we see a person who is very conniving, who is not very straightforward, who wants to criticize others, who wants to stand up against others, but doesn't want to do everything by himself. So he is even referred to as a timorous foe, somebody who is very timid, a foe who would not strike to your face. He would do it slowly, using others, but he would not be the one doing the attack. And he's also a very suspicious friend. So there's no trustworthiness that is there in Addison. And he also goes on to say that even you can even fear the foolish people who are surrendered by flatterers. And Addison is also one such person. So, he accommodates that he never truly helps anyone. He accommodates everyone, but, it's just a show. It's not who he is. So here we see Addison is, further pointed out as somebody who has ill qualities that are detrimental to his personality. And then we move on to the last part of Atticus, where we see Pope referring to a very prominent gentleman from the Greek heritage, like Cato. Give his little senate laws, and sit attentive to his own applause. While wits and templars every sentence raise, and wonder with a foolish face of praise. So over here, just like the politically attuned Cato, who used to just love to listen to his voice. He was very rhetorical, and he used to give these big laws in the Senate, and he always applauded for himself. So we see that Addison is the same way, according to Pope, that he loves to talk a lot, he loves to hear his own praise, and he praises himself. But he may seem that he is very intellectual, but underline he's just foolish. And even some scholars also exaggerate him. He loves it, but that's not what he's worth. Last two lines: who but must laugh if such a man there be? So Pope leaves us with this question: who will this man be other than who would not weep if Atticus were he? So, to penultimately in the last line, he just states, in the last finale line, he states that who could all have this, embody all these qualities, is none other than Atticus. Atticus synonymous to Addison. So over here we see that he's very critical about Addison's qualities. We see Pope using very subtle language that is not direct attacking, but everything that has the undertones of underlining the qualities of Addison that are quite striking on the outside. They may seem very, you know, trustworthy, praiseworthy qualities, but there are undertones to it which are, not visible to the human eye. And here we see that Pope has caught those and he's captured those untold stories about Addison in these lines. So, to conclude, let's just see the central ideas and a little bit of a quality analysis of Atticus. So, the central idea was basically to attack Pope's detractors. The first person over here we get to know it is Addison, and he tries to use persuasive rhetoric to do so. It's very persuasive. We tend to start believing in what Pope says about Addison. So he's very persuasive, and there are a span of emotions that are underlying, like anger, contempt, amusement, sarcasm, mockery, indignation, affection, here and there gratitude, and something about the dynamics of fame, success, and reputation, of how it changes its effect, how it affects people, is also brought out here by Pope. And to summarize about the qualities, so the striking qualities that Pope has mentioned about Addison over here are: he refers to him as a literary tyrant who is conceited, who is very self-absorbed, sneaky, he's egoistical, he's self-righteous, he's vain, pretentious, wicked, insecure, coward. Overall, he's somebody who we may be looking up to, but is he worth our appreciation? That's a question which all of us need to find answers to. And I hope that you understood this work's Atticus. Some of you may not be in agreement with the findings of Pope, with his criticism of the qualities of Addison, but it is what it is. And I hope you got a little more depth into the writing of Pope, as much as you understood the characteristics of Addison. So thank you everyone for joining.